This review is brought to you by Red Ribbon Reviewers, a site where we reviewers give our love and support for AIDS. And this year we are supporting the Trevor Project. Give them a look and donate to them. Any support you give to them will be greatly appreciated.
I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding and bring it out here. We won't go until we got some. We won't go until we got some. We won't go until we got some. So bring some out here.
Hello, I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache, and Merry Christmas, one and all. And I'm going to give you, my viewers, a Christmas present by reviewing George C. Scott's A Christmas Carol. So, let's get going. Scrooge is a miserly old man who all he cares about is the bottom dollar and nothing else. That is, until he is visited, or rather haunted, by three spirits who show him the errors of his ways. So, what do I think of George C. Scott's A Christmas Carol? Well, I like it, although I don't think it's as good as the Alistair Slim Christmas Carol, but I still think it's a pretty good film all around. The film was directed by Clive Donner, who also directed movies I reviewed in the past, like Thief of Baghdad from 1978, starring Roddy McDowall, and Terrence Stamp. He also directed the 1986 Babes in Toyland, starring a young Drew Barrymore and Keanu Reeves, and is a personal holiday guilty pleasure of mine. And the film aired on CBS in 1984 and was filmed on location in Shrewsbury, England. Sorry if I butcher the pronunciation. And one of my viewers happens to live near the place where they filmed. My buddy, Jared Griffith, did a whole video talking about the locations of George C. Scott's Christmas Carol, so check out his video if you're curious to know more about that. And let's just say it's great to be reviewing a TV movie that actually looks like a movie, rather than a TV movie that looks like it was filmed on the sets of local car insurance commercials. First change that this film does is that it has Scrooge meet up with the charity dudes, which usually in other versions, the charity dudes meet up with him. It's a small change, but it checks out. And we get to see one of the charity dudes is played by Michael Goth, who also played Alfred in the Batman movies.
The gentleman is usually in quite a rush.
Just for the taste of it, Diet Coke.
great change is when Scrooge is taken back to his past lover and he trades her for his gold. But then Christmas Past shows him what he could have had, a loving family with his girl and loving children, which would have been more than all the riches in the world. Another great change is with the Ghost of Christmas Present. In this scene, better than any other Christmas Carol adaptation, best visualizes what Charles Dickens meant. We see a family in an alley and they're freezing in the bitter cold, eating scraps. And this is the point that finally makes Scrooge crack. One of the bad changes, a change I really don't like, and that's the portrayal of Scrooge's father. First of all, I prefer it when he's left to our imaginations and we don't know what he looks like. Second, they made the father a total jerk. I mean, the moment Scrooge comes out, he says, "No, you're going straight to work right after Christmas." I mean, what a a-hole. I mean, seriously. You know what? I take my remarks about him being a jerk and an a-hole back. He is a bastard, an abuseful bastard. I feel physical pain whenever this character is on screen. It's like they were intentionally trying to make him as hateable as possible. And call me freaking crazy, but scenes like this...
Father is so much kinder than he used to be that home is like heaven. That's why I asked him if he could come home, and he said yes.
Oh, dear brother, I have come to bring you home. Home, home, home. Yes, home for good, Lord. Home forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be that home is like heaven.
Carry more weight when the father isn't an abusive jerk. Let's talk about Scrooge. What I like about this version of Scrooge is that he is a complete smart aleck, always coming up with something sarcastic to say, but he's also a miserable miser. He is so miserable and just so cruel. What a miserable miser he is. The ghosts have their work cut out for them, as he is not an easy chestnut to crack. Heck, by the time Ghost of Christmas Present is done with him, he's already scared out of his wits, as he's left in an alley. Hell, he even pleads for the ghost. Up until this point, Scrooge pretty much takes it as a joke, unlike other versions where Scrooge would be scared out of his wits. Here, he just goes along with it. Scrooge is pretty much all alone at this point, and even he can't take it anymore. Heck, by the time he gets to seeing his own grave, he's finally given the wake-up call he needs. And when he's finally given that second chance, he is beyond grateful and looks up above and thanks Jacob Marley and the spirits. Let's talk about George C. Scott as Scrooge. I best know George C. Scott for his roles in Dr. Strangelove and The Rescuers Down Under, where he tends to get really yelly, but here his performance is a bit reserved, and he's not as yelly as he is in other movies. It's more toned down. Then there's Bob Cratchit, who's a dedicated partner slash father slash family man who tries to keep his chin up even though his working conditions are pretty terrible. Bob Cratchit is played by the late David Warner, who was in Titanic and TMNT 2 Secret of the Ooze. And he was in several other movies, but he recently passed away. He will be missed. And there's Cratchit's son, Tiny Tim, who's really adorable. We get to see just how dark this movie can get as we're introduced to Jacob Marley. And I like how this Jacob Marley never once blinks, as a nice nod to the 1938 film. And that brings me to a problem I have with every Jacob Marley I've seen. Every Jacob Marley I've seen except for the 38 film always feels the need to over-exaggerate just how much in pain they are, when subtlety is key, and the 38 film knew how to do that. But if done right, which this Jacob Marley is, it can be effective. You really feel just how much in pain this Jacob Marley is just by listening to the sound of his chains. Let's talk about the ghosts themselves, starting with the ghost of Christmas Past. And judging by her hairstyle, she looks like she gets her hair tips from Jared from Labyrinth. But in all seriousness, though, this ghost of Christmas Past is stern but nurturing. She sees the hope in Scrooge. There's the ghost of Christmas Present, a jolly fellow who kind of looks like a cross between Charlton Heston and Jason Momoa just by the looks of it. I love just how dark the ghost of Christmas Present is willing to get. He isn't horsing around. When he gets dark, he gets dark. But it's never to the point where it's over the top. You get the point, and it's there. Also, there's the ghost of Christmas Future. And I love just how dark and otherworldly this ghost of Christmas Future is. He's never close up. He's always in a distance away from Scrooge. He's like a shadow lingering over Scrooge. And I don't know if it's just me or does this whole part wherever Scrooge is with the ghost of Christmas Future feel like a vision scene from Dune Prophecy. Well, it's not as good as the Alistair Slim version. It definitely rivals it. I give it 5 stars, just to end this review in a nice bow. Well, that's all I have to say about George C. Scott's A Christmas Carol. Well, I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache, and Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. See you in the new year.